Right. So we started with, last time we said what are the sessions of the parliament. So 3 sessions are there. Minimum 2 times they have to meet. Okay, the parliament has to meet minimum 2 times in a year, and the gap between 2 sessions should be less than 6 months. Okay, that is the condition. So you guys have to remember this word less than also. You should not say 6 months. You should say less than 6 months in the answer when they ask what should be the maximum gap between 2 sessions of the parliament. You have to say less than. That word less than is important. Okay, now let us look at so these are the 3 sessions, that is budget, monsoon and winter. So budget session is the longest session from February to May, and monsoon from July and August. July and August 2 months. So that means in June, the parliament will not function. That means all the members of the parliament, see children, we should understand one thing, that they are not only attending the parliament, they have to look into the implementation also. Okay, after making the laws, we have to see that all these laws or whatever decisions have been taken, those things have to come to the ground level. So they have to work towards that. That is why these gaps are there between the sessions, where they can coordinate with different departments in the government, give them instructions, see to it that all these policies come into effect. Okay. Now the monsoon session is 2 months, again winter session in November and December. So that means in September and October they don't work. Again in January they don't work, and February they again come back. Now the houses have to meet at least twice a year. Quorum means the minimum number of people that is required to for the meeting to happen. Now we know that the strength of Lok Sabha is 552. So the minimum quorum is 10%. That means at least 1/10. Okay, 1/10. So at least 50 people should be minimum there in the parliament for the session to even begin. If less than 50 people are there, the speaker will adjourn the parliament, or there won't be any business that will be carried forward that day. So the quorum means the minimum number of people that are required to be present in the house to transact its business. Whatever I have marked in bold, children, that is the key word. Please understand, whatever is marked in bold is the key word. So you guys have to write the keywords in the exams. Then questionnaire. Now coming to now yeah, so questionnaire. In the parliament, one of the most important things that members do is to keep asking questions to the government. That is the ruling party which has formed the government. They only have the cabinet ministers, right? They have the group of people who are the executive, who are implementing all the laws and policies and everything. So how far all the work has happened? What is the progress in certain issues? So are they doing everything properly or not? So we have to keep asking questions and keep them on their toes and see to it that they do their work. So that is the question. So the first hour of every working day of the session is reserved for questions. In the Lok Sabha, it is reserved for questions unless otherwise decided by the speaker. So the first hour they meet at 11 a.m. only. So the first hour starts from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. So in this time, they ask questions, and this hour is called the question hour. Now, why is question hour important? Because the functioning of the government is under scrutiny. That means the rest of the people, they are doing their duty of being the people's representatives. We have elected them and we have put a big responsibility on their shoulders. So they have to definitely, ensure that the government is doing its job. So by asking questions, you are making them answerable. Okay. Next, what is interpellation? Interpellation is the right of the members to ask questions. Okay. During question hour, they are asking questions and they have a right to ask these questions. So the right of the members to ask questions is called interpellation. Okay. So now let's go to the next slide. To ask a question, a minimum time period of 10 days should be given. Okay. Generally, when you ask a question, you can't ask suddenly, because these are huge things that the ministers are handling. A lot of activities are there, and the data is also very, what you say, huge. So if you suddenly ask how many crores have been spent or how many this thing, even the minister may not be able to answer offhand. So what do? They have to give minimum 10 days time period should be given for the minister to answer the question. So 10 days before only they submit their question to the speaker. So the speaker will take the questions and he will forward it to the concerned department or the concerned, what do you say? Minister who has to answer. And so there are three types of questions. One is start questions. Start questions are those questions for which the member wants only an oral answer. They don't want a written answer. They want an oral answer. So that is start question. And this start oral answer, since it is an oral this thing, they can ask supplementary questions also. Like one question has been submitted 10 days before saying I need answer for this question, and on the day when he will get the answer, that day the member who is asking the question can even ask some extra questions which are related to this. Okay. Another is unstart question. Unstart question is those questions for which they need, what do you say? They need an answer in the written form. And short notice questions are those questions for which, less than 10 days time is given, but the member cannot, expect that he will get an answer for this question. It is up to the minister whether to answer this question or not, because he has not given sufficient time. So short notice questions are questions for which notice of less than 10 days is given. Unstart questions are questions for which written form, they want answers in the written form. And start questions are questions for which they need only an oral answer, and probably extra questions can be asked. But for unstart questions, no extra questions can be asked. Whatever has been asked, only that. Okay, so this is where we were. I said that there are three types of questions: start questions, oral answer; unstart questions, written form; short notice questions, period less than 10 days, and probably they may not get the answer also. So 0 hour. 0 hour is the hour which follows the question hour. So question hour starts at 11 o'clock. 0 hour will start at 12 o'clock. Immediately after the question hour, the 0 hour is. Now in 0 hour, there is no question of giving notice period and everything, intimating beforehand what they want to ask and all that. This is generally an open debate and discussion time when any question can be raised and there can be a lot of, exchanges back and forth. So many times I'm sure you would have seen images of the parliament where people are shouting, throwing things and whatnot. There is so much of confusion happening, and that is the 0 hour. In 0 hour, people don't need any permission to ask questions. So naturally, that is a time where a lot of agitation is there in the parliament. People keep shouting at each other and that kind of atmosphere. And types of motions. So motion means what? It is a proposal made by any member. That means he wants to table a bill, or he wants the house to talk about some matter. Okay, so any member, and all these children also in Lok Sabha. So everywhere, these are both in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the parliamentary procedures are the same. So if any member wishes to talk about anything important or wants to take up a matter for discussion, he cannot just get up and say, come on, let's discuss this. He has to make a formal proposal. That means he has to say, shall we discuss this topic? Like that, he has to make a formal proposal, write it, and he has to give it to the speaker. Okay. So what is a motion? That means he is starting a motion. When he gives that, he is starting a motion. Then the speaker will ask the whole house, are you interested in taking up this matter? And if most of the people say, yes, we can discuss this matter, only then that matter is discussed in the parliament. So a formal proposal which is made by any member stating that the house has to take up a matter of importance, okay, that is called a motion. Okay, any matter of public importance. Now what is adjournment motion? Adjournment motion means whatever is there. See, every house, when we are meeting, when there is a meeting, therefore definitely there will be an agenda. See, when you're meeting, you don't come without a plan. First of all, they are meeting only for some days in a year, isn't it? So naturally, every day when the session begins, already there is business of the day. What all work they have to do that day and discuss is already laid out. Okay, so the speaker knows, because we are giving, see, questions are given 10 days before and all that happens. So naturally, what are the topics to be dealt with on a particular day has been laid out. That plan is there. But suddenly something happens which has come up, like which requires urgent attention. Then an adjournment motion is passed, which is a proposal to lay aside all other business and take up a definite matter of urgent importance. Did you understand? So let's say that they are like, let's take the current example. Now, when this corona happened, okay, they were meeting normally. We were all going about doing our work, you know, our normal business. Every day, how we go about doing our work, going to school, going to office and all, everybody was doing their job. You people were prepared, I mean, yeah, not you, your, this thing, your seniors were preparing for exams, everything. So this way, everybody was going about. But suddenly this corona scare came. Now the government has to take many decisions. They had to impose the lockdown. They had to do all this. So naturally, that day, whatever business was there, which was laid out, what was there in the agenda, do you think that is more important than discussing about the lockdown and the corona thing? No. So naturally, they had to pass an adjournment motion. So in such a thing, an adjournment motion is passed saying, let us stop discussing whatever we are discussing and let's take up this matter which has come up, which requires our attention immediately. Okay. So that is adjournment motion. Now, no confidence motion. What is this no confidence motion? No confidence motion means it is a proposal which expresses lack of confidence in the ministry. Now we should understand, children, in the Lok Sabha, there are 552 members, but all the 552 members are not the ministers. Okay, you have learnt even in your previous classes, out of the 552 people, the cabinet ministers or the ruling party itself will be more than half full. Okay, the ruling party will be more than 275, whatever be the number of seats they get. And out of the 275, 276, whatever, the number of people who are actually ministers will be only 50 or 60 people, council of ministers. Did you understand? So the ministers are the people who are actually going to carry out all the decisions and policies and everything. So a motion which expresses no confidence, that means we do not have confidence in this ministry. That means you're saying you don't have any confidence in the ruling party. So if the opposition, you know, proposes this no confidence motion and then everybody votes on it and all of them say yes, they vote affirmative. That means they give affirmative votes for no confidence motion. What does that mean? They have said that all of them do not have confidence on the ministry. And when such a thing happens, the government has to resign. It's a very serious thing. You can remove a government from power by passing a no confidence motion. Okay, so that is one of the powers that is there with the people, you know, how to remove a person from the ruling party cannot think that 5 years now I am in power, I can do whatever I want. It is not like that. So anytime we can remove the current government also by passing a no confidence motion. So a no confidence motion is a proposal expressing lack of confidence in the ministry. Who moves it? Naturally, the opposition. If I am part of the ruling party, will I propose a no confidence motion against my own party? Will I do that? Logically, will anybody do that? No. So it is moved by the opposition. Now, the Council of Ministers, that is the ministers, actual ministers who are there, are collectively responsible to the entire Lok Sabha. That means all of them together, they have to answer. They have to answer the Lok Sabha's questions collectively. The word collectively is very important here because not only, see, you cannot catch hold of one minister and say that you have committed the mistake, you went wrong. Whatever decisions are taken, even if it is taken by one ministry, all the Council of Ministers, including the Prime Minister, have said yes to it. They have met. Okay, there was a meeting. The cabinet meetings happen regularly. In the cabinet meetings, they discuss all the policies, everything that the government has to take. Even if it doesn't belong, let's say I am a minister, even if a topic doesn't belong to my department, I am part of the cabinet meeting and I also agree. I also give my views, and I also say that I support it. So through majority, that together they take a decision and they frame these policies. So it is a collective responsibility. Now let us say some another minister failed, or his ministry is not, some decision they have taken which has led to a lot of some scam or something in the government. Then if people accuse X, then X has to resign. But along with X, everybody has to resign. That means I also have to resign. The Prime Minister also has to resign. The entire ministry has to resign. Because when we took the decision for that particular policy or something which failed, all of us together took the decision. Okay, so that is why collective responsibility is there. Because of collective responsibility, when a no confidence motion is passed against one minister, entire ministry has to resign. So you can see the screen. The Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to the entire Lok Sabha. A no confidence motion is passed against one minister, the entire ministry has to resign. Minimum 50 members are needed to lay the proposal. So minimum 50 members are needed even to table the proposal of no confidence. If 20 people want to start a no confidence motion, they cannot. Minimum 50 people should agree to start the motion. Okay, once it is started, there is a 10-day debate. That means 10-day period is there where they have to discuss this no confidence motion. And then finally, after the discussion, the proposal is laid in the parliament and it goes for voting. Once anything that happens in the parliament is done through the process of voting. So then voting takes place. Once the voting takes place, if majority members of the parliament, they say yes to the no confidence motion, then the government has to resign. This is the procedure of no confidence motion. So what is the procedure? 50 members lay the proposal, then which is followed by a 10-day debate. Then the proposal is laid for voting. Voting takes place, and if passed, then the government has to resign. Clear? Okay. Now, what is confidence motion? Confidence motion is the opposite of no confidence motion. The no confidence motion is moved by the opposition, and the confidence motion is moved by the ruling party. Now, let's say the BJP is the no confidence, ruling party right now. Suppose the opposition starts a no confidence motion against BJP. BJP doesn't want, it's very confident that the no confidence motion will not go through and they will remain in power. So what it will say, there is no need for you people starting a no confidence motion. We are tabling a confidence motion. We will prove that we have the confidence of the house. So that is what the ruling party does. So to counter a no confidence motion by the opposition, the ruling party will propose a confidence motion. And this confidence motion, it will prove that it enjoys the confidence of the house. But when the voting happens on a confidence motion, if everybody say yes, then the confidence motion is a success. But if majority people do not, they vote, give a negative vote, that means the ministry has lost the confidence. And even in a confidence motion, if they lose a confidence motion also, they should resign, just like they would have resigned if they lose a no confidence motion. So why do we think that, then if the same result is going to be there, then why pass a confidence motion? What is the big difference? You may ask this question. So the difference is, here who is passing the motion? The opposition. And here who is passing the motion? The ruling party. And here, this is kind of an insult to the ruling party. Becoming this thing, subject of no confidence motion is like an insult, that somebody is trying to pass a no confidence motion against the ministry. So this is a positive way. Here you are trying to show your confidence. You're trying to show that I am still in power and I am in control of things. I can show that I have the confidence. So this is a positive way of showing that you have the confidence of the house. And this is a negative way of proving that you have the confidence of the house. So a confidence motion can sometimes be tabled to counter a confidence motion is passed. Then will there be fresh elections? Yes. Siddharth Nair has asked a good question. He says, suppose a no confidence motion is passed, then the entire ministry has to resign. Okay, everybody has to resign, including the Prime Minister. So what happens then is the question. Should there be new elections and again a new government will come? That is the question. So the answer to this question is, there are two scenarios. First, the president may invite another leader of another party. Okay, leader of another party, he may invite and say, you become the Prime Minister, but you have to prove that you have the confidence of the house. That means he has to prove his majority. Now, suppose the the president invites Congress. Suppose BJP loses confidence and the next party, which is, more in number than which has more members in the parliament, if that party is the Congress, then the president may call the leader of the Congress party and say, you can become the Prime Minister so long as you prove your majority. So now it is upon the leader of the Congress party to get people to come to his side and vote and say that they are with the Congress party. So they have to show their majority, and if he is successful in that, then the leader of the Congress party can become the next Prime Minister and elections can be avoided. But in case that the leader of the Congress is unable to prove his majority on the floor of the House, then nobody has majority in the House. So naturally, the whole House will be dissolved and fresh elections will be conducted. Okay, 1 minute. Ma'am, on what criteria is the motion of no confidence passed? Generally, non-performance. No confidence can be passed because of not performing their job well, corruption charges. It could be anything. Okay. Uh, okay. Will there be midterm elections? Yeah, the same thing. Aman is asking. No, correct. Suppose there is a no confidence motion passed, then there has to be a midterm election. Before the 5-year term is over, we are dissolving the Lok Sabha. Naturally, there will be a midterm election. Okay, what if the people select the same members? Okay, this is possible. This happened also. I forgot the year. I forgot the year. It was against BJP only. That time, Atal Bihari Vajpayee was our prime minister. Under his leadership, what happened? No confidence motion was passed, and BJP had to resign. Okay, so fresh elections were held. When fresh elections were held, once again BJP only came to power. And the saddest thing is, they lost the no confidence motion by only 1 vote. By 1 vote, they lost the no confidence motion, because of which they had to resign. But elections were conducted, and once again the people voted them only back to power. So once again they came back to the parliament. So it was all a unnecessary exercise of conducting elections and spending so much of money on doing this. Okay, what questions are asked? What questions are asked, you think? What questions will you ask a minister about the working of his department, isn't it?